10C, receive a report on sewer lateral repair and replacement policies and programs in San Mateo County cities.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Again, members of the City Council. The purpose of this report is to provide you with some additional information about a couple of issues that were raised at the last several meetings with respect to sewer laterals. And I'm going to be presenting the report on the first couple of issues. That has to do with some survey results from other cities. And those results were compiled predominantly by Jim Birch, the Deputy Director, who conveniently is on vacation this week. The second part of the report, because they deal with engineering issues that I'm not as readily familiar with, you'll hear from the city engineer, Jimmy Tan. So at the last couple of meetings, the council raised a number of questions which we tried to answer in the staff report, and let me just quickly summarize those questions and answers for you. The first question really was, what are we doing compared to what other cities in San Mateo County are doing with respect to a variety of policies? And so what you see in the staff report as an attachment is the best information we could come up with, which is a survey of all 20 cities. One of them was we did not get a response from, but we did get a response from 19. And so basically, the staff asked those cities the same questions and then prepared a chart for you. And what that really indicates is that, for example, San Bruno is one of about 15 cities, so almost all of them, in the county in which property owners own both the upper and lower laterals, and we would be with the implementation of the approved policy that you went through with at the last meeting. Conversely, San Bruno is one of only two, interestingly enough, only two, that provide regularly scheduled maintenance for those with approved cleanouts. In fact, 6 cities don't actually provide any such services at all. 4 of them, Belmont, Millbrae, Burlingame, San Bruno, that's us, properties with approved cleanouts and history of problems, the city will provide maintenance, and even under the policy that you recently adopted, will continue to do so. And as you may remember, that's a policy that affects about 25% of the property owners in San Bruno, the ones that have approved cleanouts. The policy you adopted won't change the situation for the 75% or so of the property owners that don't have such a cleanout. The survey also indicated that about 14 cities, almost all of them, including San Bruno, the property owner is responsible for repair and maintenance, or excuse me, for repair and replacement of their defective sewer lateral. So in sum, I think that the chart fairly represents that San Bruno is in the large majority of cities in the county in terms of what they do for repair and replacement, and in a very select few, a minority, in terms of the maintenance services that they provide for the residents as part of their routine services. One of the other questions you asked us to look at is, what do other cities do in terms of possible assistance for individuals who might be impacted by a defective sewer lateral that they need to repair or replace? And we provided you with a summary of that as well. There are a couple of different programs. As we've noted, some cities do have a grant program. I think the staff's conclusion on those is that those are most effective when the grant amount is a significant percentage of the cost of replacing the lateral. So the cities that have those programs usually allocate a certain amount of money at the beginning of the year. The reports from staff is that everybody rushes in on the first day that the program is available, or shortly thereafter, uses up as much of the money as possible to get laterals replaced, and then there's not money for the remainder of the year. One of the other interesting alternatives was the possibility of the city, for example, issuing a request for proposals, qualify some contractors, get bids that they're willing to agree to perform certain work, and then those contractors would be available to members of the public who wish to do their sewer lateral, and that may be more cost efficient for individuals rather than having everybody go out and get a separate bid from a private company for the work. So that's one of the other things that you may wish to consider. And so this evening, if you have any direction about that, we'd be happy to hear it. So in summary, that's what the survey showed. One other topic that's come up fairly frequently, and Jimmy Tan, the city engineer, will touch on in just a minute, is SSOs, sanitary sewer overflows, and there's been some discussion about that. I think it's fairly clear that nobody disagrees that the city had a significant number of SSOs over the last multiple number of years. And even had the city had fewer SSOs, the city still would have been sued by Baykeeper and still would have had a consent decree, as have many other cities on the peninsula. So while the absolute number of SSOs is now dramatically decreased as a result of the city's policies, we do know that SSOs in laterals are actually a fairly small percentage of the total number of SSOs. Turns out only about 27 or so percent, so somewhere about a quarter since 2010. So while SSOs and laterals are important, they're not the main cause of SSOs, and we wanted to make sure that the council was aware of that. So now I'd like to turn it over briefly to Jimmy, who is going to tell you a little bit about the other two topics that are in the staff report, I&I, inflow and infiltration, and ways that the city is addressing that. And then the second thing he's going to talk about is the going forward results and efforts of the CIP program for repair and replacement of sewer infrastructure.
Right. Thanks, Mark. It's a known fact that I&I exists in sewer systems as infrastructure are getting old, and they may be damaged from physical conditions, through settlement and root intrusions, and then water infiltrates into the pipelines. And the sewer master plan evaluated the I&I, and through hydraulic analysis using a hydraulic model, and provided recommendations. The evaluation, evaluated whether or not what I&I can be reduced from 10 to 50% to eliminate any of the capacity-related projects, and whether it's cost-effective to achieve that reduction or not. The capacity pipelines are segments of sewer main that conveys and collects flows from a larger area. And the result of the analysis indicated that all the recommended capacity projects in the master plan will still be required, even though their I&Is are reduced. The pipelines sizes may be smaller and the length may be shorter, but the projects will still be required. And the master plan also evaluated whether a 30% reduction in I&I could eliminate one of the areas in the capacity project. And they mentioned that it can, but the 30% reduction will require replacing and rehabbing about 40,000 feet of pipelines, as well as sewer laterals, which is almost all of the sewers in the basin or the area. And the cost to replace that capacity project, it's about $520,000. That's estimated in the sewer master plan. But the cost to replace 40,000 feet of pipelines with lower laterals is estimated to be about $6.3 million. So the cost to replace all the pipelines in the basin to reduce I&I is a significant financial investment, in comparison to implementing the capacity projects. So the city is currently moving forward with the cost-effective approach. The capacity projects, identified in the master plan is what the city is trying to implement to reduce the future sanitary sewer overflows. It doesn't mean that the city is not addressing any of the I&Is. We currently have an aggressive spot repair program in place to mitigate large holes, offsets, and cracks, and an aggressive replacement program that will be going on for the next 20 years. The main focus is to complete the capacity projects by 2019, which is required by the consent decree, and the replacement projects will be implemented based on the priorities established in the 10-year work plan. And the first area of the work plan, the 10-year work plan, it's bounded by the Huntington Avenue, San Mateo Avenue, San Felipe, and El Camino.
Any questions for staff? Connie?
There's one more portion of the report that was the segment on I&I, but we wanted to give you an overview of the capital projects. So it was a later part of the council's request. So we can take questions now and then, or if you would allow him to proceed. He has a little more to say.
Anything now? Okay. Ken?
I thought the report was going to be on a replacement policy and program. So, I mean, what I've gotten out of the report as far as laterals for our residents is a comparison with other cities and what they do. And is staff proposing something, or are you waiting for the city to, the council to give direction on what sort of plan or no plan? I mean, what is?
So the purpose of the report was to respond with the additional information that the City Council requested, including additional initiatives that the council may wish to consider. We are not recommending any additional action at this point as an urgent priority from staff's perspective. If the council wished to do something additional in terms of its continuing proactive maintenance policy, we had a couple of suggestions included in the report for your consideration. We would await your direction.
Is the city going to continue to require cleanouts to residents through various permitting or various projects? Will that policy still stay on?
It is my understanding that that remains a desirable practice, and to the extent that that has been required as part of construction projects in the past, we would generally continue to maintain that practice, yes. Regardless of who maintains, who replaces the lateral, having a means by which you could easily get to it, which the cleanout provides, is a desirable, beneficial improvement in the system.
Through the chair, when we're talking about cleanouts, are you talking about one that we used to ask in order to require in order to be part of the maintenance when the program existed? Is that what we're saying is still desirable? So let's say we're at an older house, they have no cleanout. You're just saying, obviously, a cleanout is desirable to anyone. So we can have it right on their line, inside their property. Are we saying we're still asking or saying it's desirable to have the one that used to exist that was required in order for the program, for the maintenance program?
So I believe the Councilmember Aguirre's question addressed a requirement that would pertain to new construction and improvements occurring at a property. And in that case, we would be looking for a cleanout that meets current standards.
At the property. At the property line.
The requirement is that if there's any, new construction or any improvements or additions to plumbing
Right.
will require a cleanout if not one exists or if not an updated one exists behind the property line on the private property. As far as direction, before we go on to I&I and things, I'm just thinking that we made a policy. The majority of the council made a decision to place the responsibility all on property owners, and so as much as I don't agree with that, I don't believe that's leaving it as it is and not making it a priority or not establishing a program is not proactive. It's not proactive at all. I believe if we're still going to be concerned about SSOs, we're going to be concerned about the aging of our infrastructure, even on private property or no matter whose responsibility it is, that we should probably have a program, and we should probably get the input from the public and prepare the public for what to anticipate. I believe some of our neighbors have done that and set up a program, and so even though it is the property owner's responsibility, I just don't want them to be surprised, if in fact something happens.
Okay, next topic.
Great, thanks. I know there's been some questions regarding, what has the city been using for the rates that's been collected. So the city has an aggressive sewer replacement program in place. So within the next 5 years, the city will replace approximately 14 miles of pipelines and about 5 sewer pump stations, totaling $44 million worth. And we came to council for award of several sewer projects at the end of last year. Currently, one pump station is under construction, which is the Olympic Pump Station. One other pump station is under design, which is Spyglass Pump Station. Several pipeline projects are under design right now for Trenton, Genevieve Avenue, San Mateo Avenue, Crystal Springs Road, Crestmore Canyon. So there's quite a lot of stuff going on under design right now, but then I anticipate we'll have a lot of construction work during next year as well.
Okay. Any other questions for staff on any of these items? All right, that's a report that requires no action. So, Michael, do you have something?
Yeah, I wanted to make a suggestion that we start formulating a program, and my ideas for the program where we take basically the amount of money that we were spending historically on the repair and replacement of those things. I know that the big concern and one of the reasons I was in favor of removing that program was that it was the costs were uncontrollable, and they could go through the roof, and we had no way to limit that. We had no way to target what we were repairing. And so my idea for a program that I think would be a big improvement over what we had in place was one where we budget a certain amount of money, and it looks like other cities are doing similar things. We take that money and we dedicate that to a lateral replacement. And as part of that program, we identify areas of the city where we know that there are issues, whether it's because of age or the condition of the soil, areas that we are interested in proactively replacing laterals in, and move those areas to the top of the list and allow people to come and apply to be part of that program for a particular year up until the budget is exhausted, and then keep working our way down. And that way not only are we being proactive about replacing them, but we're replacing the ones that we have assessed as being the ones that need replacement, and also taking some of that burden back off of the residents.
In summary, that is one of the recommendations in terms of opportunities, and we will certainly, we can certainly look at what the parameters of such a program might be. Again, as the city attorney said, the experience of others who have, and in fact our experience is consistent with what we've heard from others, is that you need a relatively high dollar value for each replacement in order to incentivize people to take advantage of the opportunity proactively to replace a damaged lateral rather than waiting until it's absolutely not functioning at all. And that even a relatively significant amount of money can go pretty fast. So with those two considerations, we would certainly look at what the parameters of such a program might be and bring that back.
And I know that I know our experience has been that there are a few people that take advantage of the program that we do have in place where we offer exactly that. There haven't been a whole lot of takers. But I think if we do outreach in other neighborhoods where there might be more of an interest in doing it that way, and maybe without even adjusting the dollar amounts, I think we still might be able to get people interested in participating. And then the other, I saw that some other cities might be doing things where they waive the permit fees and things that also help make it more palatable to make that replacement. So maybe we can include those as well.
Go ahead. Just on what the Vice Mayor said, which I've talked about, I'll go bring it up again, the City of San Mateo. On the permit fees, correct, is a potential, because that can add up, of course, depending if you need the encroachment as well as the plumbing. The City of San Mateo, I think they have a better incentivizing program as far as dollars are concerned. I don't know how much they put in that budget, but this year I believe they no longer took applications in the month of late January, early February, and City of San Mateo due to the dollars running out, and they wanted to make sure they could cover it. But obviously that started July 1 through at least December, so that those assets were available for at least 6 months. The City of San Mateo did do the contract, and then you had to go out and get 3 bids. You had to submit. They've modified that, but I would think that they've had some success. I would suggest the City of San Mateo as maybe a resource.
And I was just going to say, historically, I think it's important to look at when Michael mentioned looking at the money we have spent. It's all really dictated by emergency repairs on lower laterals, and 1 year it could spend $1 million, and the year before you could spend $500,000. So we have to look at kind of a bigger picture on this. And then, just to clarify, you're talking about proactively putting a program in place or reacting to people that have an emergency, or for both?
My idea would be to be proactive, not responding to emergencies. And I was thinking of, you know, there is a pool of money that we approve every year that's specifically for spot repairs. And I mean, I was thinking targeting that that amount of money, which has been historically a good run rate for us in terms of addressing the issues, and using it for that. I know that, well, now that we eliminated the emergency repair portion of it, we have the, yeah, we did. We did. We won't repair, we won't do emergency repairs anymore. Right. Response to clean out, but not the money that we were spending
To
for the
actually replace it,
contractor
right.
to come out and do the replacement. So we have that pool of money that we've historically allocated for those emergency spot repairs, and that was the money I thought we could dedicate toward this program without impacting any of our other longer-term infrastructure programs.
Okay.
If I could also interject, I mean, even if we adopted a program like a few other cities, for a $50 fee, you can get it filmed, just so that that resident can see, the condition. I also wanted to ask, what is going on with Sharp Park? I mean, if we only have 5 takers on that, and $1,700 is not a lot of incentive, but what is, because if we don't use that money, we can't use it anywhere else, or what is the plan on that?
Yeah, the discussion with the regional board is, that money is dedicated just to the Sharp Park area, and we can't use it elsewhere. And we were provided an extension to 2017 to be able to get more residents, involved with the grant program. Currently, there's a contractor in place to televise the lower laterals, and we came to council for that, and they're proceeding with that work, and we'll be able to determine how many laterals are defective within the remaining 305 homes.
Can you increase the $1,700 figure?
The answer is yes, you can increase it, but not with that pot of money. So the city could increase the amount that it provides, but the maximum that can come from that penalty money is $1,700 per property.
So I guess the plan is that if you come across a lateral that is defective or is in danger of failing, that you'll contact the homeowner and say, this is a proof. We encourage you to take advantage of this program?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Through the chair,
Irene?
might I suggest we look at that as being our first target part, since we've already got $1,700 for each of those people, and if we run across however many people that really need it, we could use that as our first target area?
Okay. Thanks for the report, and I think you have some direction too.